Well, just quick introductions. Tom Francis is the Water Resources Manager at BAWSCA, which represents a coalition of 26, I believe it is 26, right, utilities around the Bay Area. And Metra Richert is the Water Supply Planning and Conservation Manager at Valley Water. She has quite a portfolio there. And in a similar way, I mean, Valley Water represents all of Santa Clara County. And so she has a similar kind of role in dealing with all the retail facilities in Santa Clara County. Ken Jenkins is Director of Water Resources and Sustainability at Cal Water. Cal Water is a private utility that has a number of manages a number of areas within the Bay Area and across California, and so it's a little bit of a different situation. But the work that Ken does is, I mean, there's more similarities than differences, really. Even Ken, if you have to deal with a public utility commission. So I believe I think it's Metra, Tom, and Ken are going to present in order, and then we'll have a bit of discussion about conservation programs, past and present and future, and then take questions from the audience. So Metra, take it away.
Awesome. Can you guys see my presentation?
Yes.
Wonderful. So hi, my name is Metra Richert. I'm the manager of the Water Supply Planning and Conservation Group at Valley Water, and I'm really excited for the opportunity to discuss about Valley Water's conservation programs, because we have something for everybody. I'm going to give a quick overview of our agency, Santa Clara County's water use and supply, and then discuss some of our conservation programs that we offer. So Valley Water's mission is to provide Silicon Valley with safe, clean water for a healthy life, environment, and economy. And we do that through ensuring a clean, reliable water supply by providing flood protection and being stewards of the environment. This chart shows how land surface sank when the groundwater was overpumped with increased population and industry in Santa Clara County. And Valley Water has a long history of actively managing our groundwater and our recharge to ensure that this does not happen again, because sinking can cause significant impacts to infrastructure. This chart shows the water use and population in Santa Clara County over time, as represented by the blue and orange lines. And the big takeaway is, as you can see, the water use for today is about the same as what we used back in 1990s. And this is really due to the hard work of our community, Valley Water's programs, and regulations that reduce water use. Valley Water has a diversified water supply portfolio, which includes about 30% of local water supply. So that's our groundwater and our surface water. We import about 50% of our supply coming from the Delta or through Hetchy. And then 5% is recycled through our advanced purification and our wastewater treatment plants. And about 15% is through conservation. We can deliver about 3 million gallons of raw water and 200 million gallons of treated drinking water every day through our distribution system, which includes reservoirs, pump station, pipelines, through treatment plants, a purification center, and hundreds of acres of recharge ponds. So how do we use water in our county? Well, more than half of our water use is used by residences, including for their landscaping. On average, half of residential water use is outdoors, and that's why replacing lawns with water efficient landscaping and irrigation equipment is so important. Businesses use about 30% of the water in our county, and we have several programs to support them, including our Water Efficient Technologies program. And then you can see agriculture is about 8%, and we also have programs to support them as well, such as our mobile irrigation lab. So why is water conservation important? Well, for one, it saves money. The average family who upgrades their toilets to 1.3 gallon per flush or less models can save up to 13,000 gallons of water and save $130 of water costs and water costs a year. But there's a lot of other reasons why it's important. It helps us increase our long-term water supply reliability. It assists us in meeting our short-term demands. And conservation also helps us keep more water in our local rivers and reduces our reliance on the Delta. It also helps reduce urban runoff. It's a large source of fertilizer and nutrients in our storm drains in form of pollution runoff. So as I mentioned earlier, Valley Water has over 20 different programs and projects to help people to save and use water more efficiently. I'm going to give you a quick overview of our programs, but I want to definitely stress that you can find more information at watersavings.org. So we have our WaterWise survey program. It consists of both an indoor and an outdoor component. The indoor program consists of a do-it-yourself kit with low flow rate bags, toilet leak detection tablets, and it includes a complimentary practical plumbing guide. And the outdoor portion of our program is where, and it's totally complimentary, it's where an irrigation professional will come to your home, they'll evaluate your system, identify any problems, and give you some recommendations. And most importantly, also educate you on what programs might be a great fit for your needs. Our most popular program is our landscape rebate program. And as you can see, it consists of many different components. So we have the landscape conversion. So that's taking out your lawn and putting a drought tolerant landscape in. We have inline drip irrigation, irrigation equipment upgrades. We do rain barrels, cisterns, rain gardens. And once you participate in our program, after a year or two, you'll be eligible for our landscape maintenance consultation program. And so that's where, again, another professional comes out there and supports you in ensuring that your WaterWise garden is thriving. We have our gray water laundry to landscape rebate program, where it diverts your rinse water to your landscape. Wonderful thing about this is no permit is required, and we do partner with many different retailers, so you can receive a rebate for up to $400 per system installed. And again, as I mentioned, we have programs for everyone. So for our commercial individuals, we have our water efficient technology program, where we help make equipment changes that save water. We also have our fixture replacement program for multifamily and commercial who want to replace high water use fixtures. We have our sub-meter rebate program, where we can take properties that have one master meter and input individual sub-meters. That's typically for like condominiums or mobile homes. And then of course we have pre-rinse sprayers for restaurants and commercial kitchens. And for our agricultural programs, we have our mobile irrigation lab, again, one of our most popular, where we provide free technical service for growers to help improve their irrigation efficiency in seasonal row crops, tree crops, greenhouse crops, nurseries, and vineyards. We also have drip and sprinkler irrigation scheduling calculators. And last year, Valley Water kicked off its agricultural water use baseline study that will be completed next year, and that will provide some additional recommendations and improvements to our agricultural program. So we're looking forward to implementing those. We also have our water waste inspector. So anyone who reports water waste, and you can do that through our app at Access Valley Water, email or by phone is listed here. But we send out individuals to educate about the important resource of our water and how to eliminate the water waste. And when we have persistent cases, we coordinate with our retailers and cities and sometimes the county. We have a plethora of resources available, both at our site, watersavings.org. You can find educational videos, workshops. We also support South Bay Green Gardens. They have some wonderful educational workshops as well. And then most importantly, just recently we launched our shopping cart. It's where residents of Santa Clara County can go online and order water conservation tools, as well as equipment and literature that can be delivered totally contactlessly free at your home. So I definitely want you to take advantage of that as well. So definitely please come visit watersavings.org to learn more about water conservation programs at Valley Water. That concludes my presentation.
Great. Thank you, Metra. So I think we have Tom next. If you can. Oh, I'm sorry. I grabbed the screen. I was hoping for you to grab the screen. So yeah, I'll stop my share and please take yours. Thank you.
There.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was muted.
Yeah, no, I will share. Put this up. So now hopefully everybody can see my screen. I'm Tom Francis. I'm the Water Resources Manager at BAWSCA. And similar to Metra, I'm going to kind of follow her same path. I'm going to talk a bit about who we are, followed by some information about our water picture currently during the drought. And then I'll close by talking about some conservation efforts underway. I'm also going to sneak in some information about what's different about this drought versus 2015, the drought we had during that period. So BAWSCA is a special district. We were formed in 2003 to represent the interests of 26 water suppliers. If you kind of see that cookie cutter image off to the right, those are where our water suppliers are located. So 16 within San Mateo County, 8 within what I'd call kind of the northern portion of Santa Clara County, and then 2 within Alameda County towards the southwest portion. So fairly large part of the Bay Area. We represent 1.8 million residents and, thousands of businesses, as well as countless community organizations. So a big bulk of our member agencies and those that they serve are covered by BAWSCA's service area. What we have in common is that we all rely on the San Francisco water system to meet some, it meets all of their water supply needs, others a significant portion. Essentially, the San Francisco water system starts up at Hetchy Reservoir in Yosemite. There's other local Sierra reservoirs as well that are part of the Hetchy system. Water flows from Hetchy through a series of tunnels and major pipelines towards the Bay Area. Similar to Valley Water, there's pump stations and treatment plants in the mix. For those of you really familiar with the Bay Area, you'll be recognize Crystal Springs Reservoir over on the peninsula, Calaveras Reservoir over in that portion of Alameda County. All of those are part of our water supply picture, our water storage efforts. I know Paula Keyhole, the director of water resources for the San Francisco system, will probably expand a bit on that in her presentation later today. So we do get water from the Sierras, and we have a very robust supply. Where are we at right now? Our picture is better than the rest of the state from a supply perspective. I have a couple of red circles there to kind of illustrate a couple of points. Hetchy Reservoir, which is the large reservoir up in the Yosemite Valley area, that is at a little less than 70% full. If you look at our total system storage, it's very similar. It's 69% full. If for those of you that have followed the news or have read stories, the state has many large reservoirs as well as the federal government. Those are in the 20 to 30% full range. So our situation is much better than the rest of the state. But I want to put a caveat on that. There's this effort that's going to hinder our ability or San Francisco's ability to store water during the rest of this drought. It's a concept called curtailment. That impacts water rights. Curtailment would mean that we wouldn't be able to store any runoff that's generated during this winter months. We'd have to let that flow through the reservoirs instead of adding it to storage. That can make a drought situation more severe next year if we continue to enter through the drought. So curtailment's a subject of lawsuits and challenges. And I know it's not just by water users such as San Francisco. A lot of the other water agencies in the state are very concerned about curtailment. But I will say, as a water supply planner, we need to assume that that's going to be in place. So we have to plan for the future in terms of what our water supply might look like next year. Looking at the hydrology that we have this year, this fiscal year, if you will, or this wet year that's just ending this October compared to some historic years, that solid red line, if you look at the graph over on the left of the screen, that's the rainfall. You can see it's very close to the historic low that was encountered in 1977. That's kind of the historic drought year that a lot of times you'll hear water professionals refer to in the Bay Area and beyond in California. The prior year, 2020, was very similar. It was just barely above the red line. So we've had 2 years of a drought, and we could be entering into a third year. Things are very uncertain right now, and the long-term forecast, while you can't necessarily 100% rely on them, do indicate that we might be entering into another dry year. The map over on the right is snowpack. If you look at that, that solid red line shows the snowpack this year. You can see that it melted sooner, started melting in April. We didn't get any snow of note since then, and it sort of dissipated quicker. So some may say that could be due to climate change. We'll just have to see if we start seeing that we don't get as much snow, or that the snow melts sooner because of temperature concerns. This might be our new normal. We'll need to be aware of it. But snowfall and snowpack was much lower last year than what we have on average. Now kind of turning to comparing to what we encountered in the past drought. This is a bar chart slide. It's for all of our BAWSCA member agencies. They're all listed there. During that period of time, they were asked by the governor, or required by the governor, to cut water use by a certain percentage. It really varied by agency. Collectively, among the BAWSCA member agencies, we achieved a little less than 20% savings. So we cut back by 27%, which is great. That type of cutback was needed, and it was very admirable. I think we were one of the gold stars in the state in terms of how much conservation we achieved. I will say this, that the challenge that we're going to have this time around is that cutback was based on, in 2015, was based on water use in 2013, which was higher than what we currently are seeing prior to this most current drought. Essentially, what's been happening is people are behaving differently. We all have conservation as a way of life kind of built into our lifestyle. So it might be quite a bit harder to get to 26, 27% if we have to get to those levels next year, if we're basing it on our water use, let's say in 2020 or 2019. So, all of us, Metra and I and the other water managers and the other water utilities throughout the state are going to see challenges that they didn't see in 2015. Learning from the past drought, I won't go into a whole lot of detail here. What BAWSCA produced is a drought report that's available on our website. I have that link here. Just go to bawsca.org and then you can find it. The report detailed in a very thorough fashion the actions that were taken by not just BAWSCA member agencies, but the state and our water supplier, SFPUC. And it also talked about the response that our member agencies and their customers had to the drought. It talked about the fact that really a lower water use has a fiscal impact on water agencies as well as water quality impacts, because essentially you're using less water, and there's a in-kind type of a reaction in terms of the wastewater and some of that that's generated. We have lessons learned that we prepared, and so all that helped us as we are entering this current drought. Even simple lessons like what messages are heard the best by our customers, and what venue should we use for that message. Is roadside ads important, or should we be using social media, since that seems to be such an effective tool today? Now I'll kind of transition a bit into our drought programs. Before I do, though, I want to say that all of you in the room, if you're living in the Bay Area or in California, you need to use water wisely. Here within the BAWSCA member agencies, the San Francisco PUC is asking for voluntary reductions right now of 15% or less water use. Perhaps Paula in her presentation might note this. We're at 8% less water use as of recently, but we haven't met that 15% target. Again, it's a voluntary reduction. San Francisco may have to consider stronger actions. I mentioned curtailment. Even the fact that their storage is much greater than others in the state, they very well may need to go to mandatory rationing because of what could happen next year with curtailment. And also we'll be looking to see whether October and November are rainy. All that has to be factored in because we have to plan ahead. So a mandatory rationing call may or may not need to be made, and we will know more in the next month or two. Every drop saved is going to be useful within our reservoirs for storage next year. So, the more you save now, the more supply reliability would be in place in the coming year. And summertime, which we're unfortunately about through with now, opens the best opportunity for savings. A lot of the water use comes from outdoor water use. So we try to, hammer home the need of our residents that have lawns or green space outside to cut that down. Don't water every day. The time of when your water is important, and the volume of water is certainly important. We don't want people to have water running off onto driveways or hardscapes. But like I showed you in that past slide, we have in the past, our region has been very good at conserving water. We have every confidence that our residents will do their best to do so. Which brings me into things that BAWSCA has programs to make that conservation happen. So similar to Valley Water, we have rain barrel rebate programs. We have one of the big rebate programs that more money is being provided to is Lawn Begone, to take out those grass lawns, to put in something that's more drought tolerant and less water sensitive. And smart irrigation controllers for those that do have watering systems in place. We can put that rebate in place to cover almost all, but certainly a good portion of the cost of those controllers. Another issue that we have had a lot of success with is onscape landscape classes. The COVID has certainly been a challenge for us in terms of just how we were going to orchestrate that. Before they were all in person, we went to if you will, a Zoom format for those, and the attendance zoomed as well. We started getting hundreds of people attend those classes. And we're going to continue even after COVID to offer sort of a mix of both in-person as well as remote Zoom type settings for these classes. There's also garden tours. It's a good way for residents and others to see that you can have a beautiful garden, similar to the pictures that you've seen in Metra's presentation, one that doesn't require as much water as a lawn. We have some new programs that BAWSCA has implemented. Ready now for this current drought: irrigation hardware rebates, and you can see there I've provided the dollar amounts that we're offering, and then also a resident self audit tool for homeowners. If they essentially, it's a fairly inexpensive kit, but if they don't want to purchase the kit, they can follow some inline instructions on our website to show how they can do a water audit. Just checking to see where leaks might occur or where they might have a problem. And so we're very optimistic that that tool will prove very useful as we weather this current drought. All of our rebate programs are available for viewing. You can open our website, hover your mouse over the particular city or the water utility that you're served by, click that box, and you'll be able to see which of BAWSCA programs they subscribe to. And so not all of our agencies subscribe to all of our programs, but a good number of them do. I would mention that for Valley Water, They also provide a portion of the water supply to those BAWSCA member agencies. They're in Santa Clara County, so they have the opportunity to not just use BAWSCA's programs, but also have access to Valley Water's program, since Valley Water's service area includes all of the county, Santa Clara. So that's the end of my presentation, and we'll turn it over to Ken.
I was going to say batting in the cleanup spot, but I guess it's the number 3, so you're going to have to, I guess, hit for average end power. Take it away, Ken Jenkins.
Fair enough. You're seeing, I'm assuming you're seeing my title screen.
Yep.
Okay, great. So, I'm talking about 4 main areas here in the next few minutes. Talk about the diversity and those challenges associated with diversity in our 24 service areas, a little bit about our accomplishments during the last drought, as well as our approach, and then how data and lessons from the last drought is informing our response during this current drought, and then tie it up with some information on low-income customers and how to specifically help them. For those that aren't as familiar with Cal Water, we are regulated by the California Public Utilities Commission. As you can see, we have 24 districts throughout the state of California, which serves more than 100 communities in the state. That includes a population of about 2 million people through about 500,000 service connections, which makes us collectively the second largest retail water provider in the state. This gives you an idea of the diversity of our supply throughout our service areas between the 4 types of supply you see here. Really varies dramatically between districts and informs our approach and the impact of the drought, whether a district is more heavily reliant on state water project water versus groundwater. That really does impact what we're seeing in each of these communities. Overall, our supply mix in 2020 was about 51% purchased water, 4% surface water, 43% groundwater, and 2% recycled water. And we have a number of projects that we're looking at to help increase that use of recycled water going forward, and are excited about those opportunities. This is an example of the type of information we're tracking in an individual service area, individual community. This is up in our Lucerne system on Clear Lake. And Clear Lake levels are historically low, as you can imagine. And we've been doing daily tracking since much earlier this year on lake levels compared to our 2 intakes for our supply from the lake, as well as developing 3 different projections going forward on where we anticipate those lake levels going, so that we can prepare early and develop alternatives if we need to develop alternatives. And this is one example of many that we're doing on a daily basis to ensure that we have a reliable water supply. So the last drought was highly successful in terms of water reductions. Similar to what you've heard before from Tom and I know Metra, the Valley Water reductions were extremely good as well. Really our guiding principle is that customers, the vast majority of customers, want to do the right thing, and they just need assistance in doing so. And that can be done in a number of different ways: education tools, rebates, a number of different things. This is a by the numbers that you see here. We did have water budgets in place for a portion of the drought with surcharges. We had about 19,000 customers, which is about 4% of our customers, submit appeals for their water budget that we processed. We approved about 88% of those appeals to increase water budgets in some form. Number of customers came to our usage page to see what their usage was. We created a dedicated drought call center for customers to call that dealt specifically with drought issues, and took almost 50,000 calls in that drought call center. A large number of pieces of mail, community meetings, and really we think this philosophy works. We were able to achieve a 29% reduction during the mandate period. So highly successful. We're using a lot of these same same strategies going forward in this drought. But what we decided to do after the drought, as the drought was we'll say ending, is participate in a number of research projects and really use that information to help inform what at that time we didn't know when, but it's come much quicker than I think any of us would have liked. How we can improve upon our last drought. And the three here, we participated in the Public Policy Institute of California's drought study. There's actually the Appendix C in that study. It specifically looks at our service areas throughout the state. The Alliance for Water Efficiency looked at municipal irrigation restrictions and their effectiveness during the drought, and our Visalia district was included in that study. And then we did our own study and actually discussed this in a number of different ways with State Water Board staff and Department of Water Resources staff, really looking specifically at commercial water use and how that was impacted during the drought. And so briefly, a few just takeaways here. The PPIC study, we found that single family residential customers and government customers largely met the mandate for their area, while multifamily residential and industrial customers largely did not. And there's obviously reasons for that that are discussed in the study. And the other piece is that low income customers, no surprise, I think, to anyone, lower discretionary income and lower discretionary use. And so really challenged there and really deciding to develop very, very specific programs to assist those customers. For the Alliance for Water Efficiency study, really, it's about a combination of things. It's a combination of irrigation restrictions, programs, surcharges. It's not one size fits all. There's many pieces to developing a successful drought program. And on the CII study side, really found that reductions in the CII sector were directly related to landscape use. So it explains why the government sector, who has parks, large landscape sites, were able to reduce their use at a higher level than some other customers. Specifically, when we looked at it, what we found was for an average government site, 34% of that site is landscaped. Whereas when we look at commercial customers, so general business customers, that drops to 17% of an average site. And for industrial customers, that drops to 8% of an average site. So that impacts their ability to more easily save water during a drought. On the side of the sectors that probably did the best and the worst, we found that the accommodation and food service sector was our worst performer. And we also found that the retail trade sector was a low performer. And the interesting thing for us is those two sectors combined make up about 20% of our CII accounts. So developing strategies to really look closely and assist those sectors is something that we learned we needed to put forth and have available. Just a brief look at the rebate programs we have to assist customers on the residential side. You'll see here many of the same programs that other suppliers offer. I'm going to touch on our Smart Landscape Tune-Up program here in just a minute. On the commercial side, I would highlight two things I think that are maybe a little bit different about our programs. On the rebate side, our spray bodies program, which is for spray bodies with pressure regulation and check valves, as well as our large rotary nozzle rebate. We include a rebate for material, and we also include an additional add-on rebate for installation of those devices if it's installed by a C27 contractor. So we're really trying to encourage customers to utilize licensed contractors to do this type of work, get it done right. And so that's an interesting wrinkle in our rebate program. We also have a customized incentive program, which is more of a catch-all, right? We're not going to have a rebate program for every single type of device. And that program is based on projected water savings for any particular improvements. Just to look at some of the marketing and outreach that we do as part of our program. You can see here, we have some what we call digital out of home on EV chargers, video in gyms, other places. The sanitizing wipe kiosks in stores, advertising on Hulu, number of fact sheets, as well as a number of other places that we utilize. This is a global look at our customers when we take a look at what water targets are on a customer by customer basis, along with what their consumption is. And we can very easily identify particular areas. Red is bad on this as well. And we can identify customers and areas where we may need to be able to focus resources. I think one of the big takeaways is for all of us, there are just resource constraints, whether it's financial, whether it's people, and finding ways to utilize our resources as efficiently as possible, I think is a big takeaway that we've learned. And then our Smart Landscape Tune-Up program. So this program was actually modeled after another program that we had, which was our bathroom fixture replacement program, which provided installation of high efficiency toilets, shower heads, and bathroom aerators at no charge to customers. We had over about a 10-year period, we installed or delivered more than 50,000 toilets as part of that program. And really we're phased out a little bit more quickly because of the pandemic early last year. And we were looking for an opportunity to find a way to assist customers that what we were finding had higher bills that were due to, in many cases, leaks, and specifically irrigation leaks. And so we decided to start this program, started middle of last year, and it includes an evaluation of the customer's irrigation system, identifying and improvement of irrigation leaks, broken equipment, and other things. So what we have, evaluator go out to the site, they evaluate the system, and then we actually make the improvements for the customer. So we will install a smart irrigation controller, change out any valves that need to be changed out, spray bodies, nozzles, fixing leaks, drip systems at no charge to the customer. This goes back to the idea of how do we help low-income customers. So this program, while it's available to all of our customers, is marketed heavily to our low-income customers who may not have the means to be able to make these types of improvements and may be disproportionately impacted by these types of issues. So this is a really popular program for us. It's becoming obviously more popular as the drought intensifies, and we're looking forward to continuing this one. So you can see really a tailored approach to each area. Collaboration amongst agencies, amongst customers is critically important to success. Looking at what you've done and applying those lessons learned, and then really that focus on low income customers. I've included here information on where to find the PPIC report, the AWE report, and then there's also a US EPA report, Assistance That Saves, that both our bathroom fixture replacement program and Smart Landscape Tune-Up program was featured in as a case study, specifically around programs that also help with affordability. And then you can see our website there, calwater.com/conservation. And then if you want a broader look at our efforts around energy efficiency and a number of other issues, climate change, you can go to calwater.com/ESG. And that is it for me.
Thank you, Ken. It is interesting to see the range of programs, and I know I could personally use a really good evaluation of an irrigation system. It's been something I never get to spend enough time trying to figure out, and it's been bedeviling me for a while. We are kind of up against the time. We don't really have, we are running just a few minutes behind, but I can say that, just as part of the value water pillar of our water manifesto, we definitely want to try to reach out and to people in our purview and provide information on all of these programs. So we will be working on that as soon as the dust settles on this particular Waterpalooza. That's definitely an outcome. So I thank you all for playing Waterpalooza, everyone's favorite game. I need to get a dial to spin, actually. It would be great. I think, well, all the talk of new normals. I think this is, we live basically across California in a chaparral area or basically, high desert for the most part. And, there's different qualities and a big range, but, I think, well, if conservation programs are always important, but I just think they're going to be so much more important moving forward and on a permanent basis, and not to go to this, kind of feast famine kind of aspect as far as mind share. It should be a current